Hey guys, it's Mike. I just wanted to record a quick intro to this episode. So we took a little hiatus for a couple of months there. Basically, I got super busy with work and life got in the way, and there's a thunderstorm happening outside, and Lola's barking at it, so you might hear that. Anyway, but so at the height of the pandemic, we were recording episodes every week, at least once a week. So we have a little backlog of episodes that I just haven't pulled it together to get them out. So the episode you're hearing was actually recorded in October of 2020. And of course, now it is June of 2021. So that's just a little disclaimer that if we make any references to time or dates or what's happening in the world, they might be a little outdated. All that being said, jump into tonight's episode of
Hail them. Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies. Open.
Captain, we're being hailed.
They're hailing us, sir.
On screen.
Hello and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we trek through the past and future of Star Trek. As always, I'm your host, Mike Jones, and joining me via the magic of Zoom Internet are my co-host, Aaron and Ben. It's episode number 50, guys.
What?
We did it.
Yes.
We did it.
That's amazing.
We've done this.
Congratulations, guys.
We've done this 50 times.
Wow.
I like to kick. I
And
like to
stretch. I look great. My hair started falling out and forward.
Honey.
It's not falling out. It is a little bit.
And
but
that's, I mean,
You don't have to be 50 for that to happen, let me tell you.
I'm 50, let me tell you.
not only a hair club president, you're
I'm
also
also
a
a
client.
Also,
I'm so glad to be here with you guys for 50
Yeah.
episodes. That's so exciting.
Happy 50 episode anniversary, guys.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's what, the silver? We should. I'm expecting gifts from our patrons.
Oh.
Yes. Silver.
Yes.
Silver gifts.
They're on the way.
Mhm.
Don't worry.
Obviously. As
I've
soon
got-
as this gets published.
Yeah. I've got Christmas Town going over here behind me on my we're making little
Little Chris.
I made they're little ornaments. They're like little cross stitch. Debbie's doing the cross stitch. I'm doing the frames. It's great.
Oh, nice.
Aw.
So those of you watching the video, our patrons can see that. And then maybe
your
I'll post a picture.
Santa's workshop in the background there.
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
We got to get ready.
Exactly. We
Although
started
this
putting up-
episode's not going to come out till after Christmas.
I know this episode's actually I'm planning on dropping it in late January. So at this point, the inauguration will have been done by the time
Excellent.
our friends are listening to this.
All right.
When we're recording this, the election just finished. So
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
few days ago.
So we all had a big sigh of relief collectively on Saturday. Now, future you listening to this episode knows, all the shenanigans that are going to happen
Right.
between now and January, but we'll see.
I know. I don't want to jinx
I'm just
anything.
hoping for the best. Fingers crossed here.
Fingers crossed.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's what I always say.
Right. That was the
Worry
longest
about
Tuesday ever.
everything. Panic about nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Great motto. That's like a stage manager motto.
I like that.
I like that.
Worry about everything. Panic about nothing.
Panic about nothing. Well, we decided to do something special for our 50th episode and talk about something that we haven't talked too much about on the podcast. The first season of Star Trek Lower Decks has wrapped up. 10 episodes? Has that 10 or 11 episodes?
There were 10.
All 10 episodes are out there.
Mhm.
And if you haven't watched them, rush over to CBS All Access and check them out because it's a great series.
It's really good. It is all the things you love about Star Trek with a sort of modern sense of humor and animation stylings that you come to expect nowadays with animation for adult audiences.
Mhm.
Although I think younger audiences would like this too.
I
Yeah.
think they would because there is some humor in it that's just funny on its face. But I think
Right.
for Star Trek fans, there are so many Easter eggs.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's levels,
so many.
layers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll be honest, like I was in 3rd grade when I started watching The Next Generation, and that was,
Oh yeah.
like that was,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And this is way more geared towards an audience appeal to a younger age. So
Right.
it's fantastic. If you haven't watched Lower Decks, oh my God, do it.
Yeah.
Then why are you listening to this show? A of all.
Yeah. Turn it off.
We'll stop
Pause.
right here. We'll give you a
Turn it
moment.
Mhm.
Right.
And come back. Then
Pause.
come back this
Come
far
back.
into the episode.
We'll
Time
see
code.
you in
Check the timestamp.
roughly 220 minutes.
Yes.
Is that? I guess that's
well,
right.
they average 22 minutes.
22
I
minutes.
I was with you. I
That was
followed.
some quick math.
some
It was
quick
just
math.
quick
That was way too fast for me. I was
See,
I'm
the
just
trick when
assuming
you're
you're right.
multiplying by 10 is you just stick a 0 on the end.
tricky.
That
Yeah.
sounds like
That's that Common
witchcraft.
Core? Is that what that is? Is that
Oh, I
the
don't know what
methodology?
that is. I don't
Well,
know.
now the math is math, like in The Incredibles
I don't.
too.
Oh, right.
Math
They
is
they
not
changed
math.
it. They changed
No,
math.
math
And I'm
is
like,
not
what did they
math.
change math?
No, math is not. I see YouTube videos, or not YouTube videos, but like things on Facebook of some sort of Japanese math where they're just doing like they're making like tic-tac-toe hashtags and adding up the dots, and I'm like, I don't understand this math.
Oh,
This
I
is
wonder if
magic.
it's
That
like
is
an abacus thing.
There is a method that like basically you do this strange like grid and
Yes.
it's like there's a spot for the tens and the hundreds and the ones and they're the hundreds, tens, anyway, but they can do it really fast, and then they have these other groupings, and then you can get an answer super fast for a very complicated multiplication problem.
It's insane.
I don't know that there's probably a way to do division and stuff, but like we just learned long division. And
It's just
things
multiplication
like that,
backwards.
yeah, it's just multiplication backwards.
Yeah.
I don't remember like long division. I mean, I remember learning it, but I couldn't sit down and do it. Isn't that terrible? It's a skill I haven't used since I was a kid.
We all now have calculators within our reach. We all have our own little tricorders, like at all times.
Right. I remember telling my dad I would always have a calculator with me at all times, and he was like, "No, you won't."
Like
You're going to carry a
Actually,
TI-83.
Yep.
Now we do.
Or what's the fancy tricorders with the purple stripe, the T88s
Oh, the
or whatever?
T88s.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
We're
a
all
T88?
carrying T88s.
Which features in Lower Decks.
In Lower
There's a whole-
Decks.
Mhm.
When they go to the what is it, the Vanderbilt, that other ship that they're
Yeah,
like
the Vancouver.
Vancouver. I knew it was a V.
Right.
But that's how they get because they get the new tricorders, the new.
Yep.
Right.
They each steal a duffel bag full because they've got duffel bags in the future.
Right.
They just take them.
Well, so yeah, if you haven't watched this series, you can continue listening to us if you want, but you should pause and go watch and come back. And while you do that, I will go ahead and do my plug here. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you hear, please consider being a patron and joining our crew, where you can get special perks such as the video version of our podcast, and we're planning on dropping things early on the Patreon. You can
You'll
find
get
that
the video podcast a full 2 days early before the next episode
That's the
comes out.
plan. Yeah.
Plus, we're working on an archive of like other previously released episodes that you can check out the videos for.
Yes.
If you're still catching up, you can jump into the past ones.
Right. I watch a lot of video podcasts just because, I mean, I put them on in one corner of my screen while I'm working, and
That's a
because
nice
you get
idea.
to like see the people talking. It's not just audio. I mean, it's a nice little bonus. There's a few that do that I like, so I like that idea. So check out our Patreon. You can find it on our webpage under Support Us, or on patreon.com. Just look for Hailing Frequencies Open Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast, and give us a 5-star review, and it helps other people find us.
Absolutely. 5 stars, please. You all know where I stand on this. 5 stars.
5
Good
stars or
enough.
don't even bother.
Exactly. Don't waste my time with 3 stars. Come on, guys. 5 stars. I love you all.
There are 5 stars.
There are 5
Ah,
stars.
I'm glad we all understood
We're
that.
such nerds.
Such nerds.
Such nerds.
I
We
saw this
love it.
funny. I might have said this already in an episode, but I saw this meme of it was Captain Picard with the
Yeah.
4 lights, and it was divided up into squares, and it was like one of those CAPTCHA things, and it said, "Please select all 5 lights."
Oh
Oh.
no. Those are- Ah.
Oh. Mm. Ooh,
that
would make me
brings up
mad.
my anxiety levels.
we all have PTSD from that episode.
It's true.
Well, clearly, we are the target audience for Star Trek Lower Decks because we get references like there are 4 lights. Head writer Mike McMahon and showrunner is also a huge Trekkie and has written books, and he knows what he's talking about, and he loves working in all those little Easter eggs.
Mhm.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So I figured we would just kind of talk through the first season episode at a time. You know, we won't spend like a whole lot of time in each episode, but just to be like, here are the things we remember. You know, it's hard talking about comedy because it can easily become the Chris Farley show where it's like, oh, you remember that one joke? Yeah, that was funny. You know what I mean?
That was awesome.
That was,
Remember
that
that
was
time
awesome.
you were in the Beatles? That was awesome.
That
That
was awesome.
See, we're doing it to the Chris Farley show. We're Chris Farleying the Chris Farley show.
Exactly.
I respect
fantastic.
that personally. I think that that's actually what we should be doing.
We should be. We should
I
just
think
bring
there
it.
should
I like
be-
this.
It should be a less aggressive version of Between Two Ferns.
With Zach Galifianakis. See,
Yeah.
what we're doing, it took us 50 episodes, but we finally found our true calling as a podcast.
We found our format.
Yep, that's it. We got it.
Nice.
Bring it on.
Amazing.
That is fantastic.
We did it, guys. And that's it for
We're there.
Hailing Frequency
And that's
Thanks
it.
so much. Hailing
Thanks.
frequencies closed.
Closed.
forever.
No goodbyes.
Good memories.
So yeah, first of all, let's talk through the cast real quick. Of course, it's hard to say who the stars are because it's such an ensemble, but
Yeah.
Tawny Newsome voices Beckett Mariner.
Mhm.
She also is the host of the official Star Trek podcast, Star Trek The Pod Directive. If you haven't checked that out, produced by CBS. They only have a few episodes out, I think, at this point. Well, by the time this releases, they'll have a lot out because they're faster than us.
Mhm.
But she's amazing, isn't she?
Oh,
Tawny Newsome's great.
I didn't know her before this. Did you?
I feel like I did. She was in maybe another web series.
Oh yeah, like a
I
college
can't
humor
remember.
kind of something like that.
I feel like it was or maybe she was a guest star on something that I saw, like a podcast I listened to. Now I got to look it up, but it's just get ready. It's happening.
It's happening.
Tom,
Of course,
it
her
is
best
happening.
friend on the show, Brad Boimler, is voiced by Jack Quaid, who is,
son of Randy Quaid. Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid? Am I right? Dennis Quaid and
I
Meg Ryan.
believe
Dennis.
so.
It's Dennis Quaid. It's Dennis
Yeah.
Quaid.
Wait,
He's
so
Hollywood
Dennis
royalty.
Quaid is Dennis Quaid?
Well, there's Randy Quaid, and then there's Dennis Quaid. Randy Quaid is the crazy
No,
guy in
two
Independence Day.
Different people.
Two different Quaids.
I'm completely. I am
There's-
messing with
There's
you.
Dennis. Okay, so wait a minute. The Quaids.
So wait a minute.
are-
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
It's
Wait a
a
minute. Wait a minute.
Quaid
So
quintuplet.
the Quaids were very popular in the 80s because it was this drug you could just take, and then it's like and then it became illegal at some point.
Mm,
Quaaludes.
Sorry, Quaaludes. Yeah, sorry, I'm
got
confused.
it.
Okay,
So she.
what
So
I
Tawny Newsome has done a bunch of
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
But you might know her
it
from
was Comedy Bang
Space
Bang.
Force.
It was Comedy Bang Bang. Yeah.
Comedy
Space
Bang
Force.
Bang. She's on Space Force.
Space Force. That was
she
the other
also-
thing.
Oh.
She was in several episodes of Brockmire, if you saw that. The
didn't.
comedy Get Down. Brockmire was actually very funny. I think I saw
should check
two.
it out.
It's baseball-y, but also alcohol and sex and Hank Azaria. So
that sounds very American.
excellent. It was very American.
Baseball, alcohol, sex, Hank Azaria. Boom. God bless America.
God bless America. So yeah, that's Tawny Newsome.
Well, she's amazing, and
Yes.
Jack Quaid is also amazing. I haven't seen The Boys, but that's the other big show that he's in.
And he's awesome in that.
I really need to watch it. I know I would love the show. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, you failed.
That I know.
You
I'm
failed.
fighting the urge to quote Family Guy. I think that's another reason why this show appeals to me so much is that I love Family Guy and watch it so much that I can quote it.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
There's an early episode where Mayor Adam West says, "I know I would like Grey's Anatomy if I just had the time." And he's like reading that before like a group of children.
So great. So one
this
more
adult-
thing about Tawny Newsome.
yes,
It
please.
was I was like, I've seen her. I feel like she was on like Critical Role or like a D&D show that I watched. She was on an episode of Harmon Quest in season 3,
Oh.
like in 2019. And
fun.
which is Dan Harmon's like D&D show that's on VRV now or whatever Crunchyroll is owned by.
Oh,
Anyway,
right.
it's a thing. But
Great.
she's fabulous. Love Tawny Newsome. Sorry.
And has some real nerd cred then.
Some real nerd cred, like
Yeah.
street, like hardcore. Yeah.
Right.
The
That's
word on the
awesome.
street, she's a total dork.
If you watched any of the Star Trek convention or Comic-Con kind of panels, they're both hilarious. Jack and Tawny are both just adorably hilarious. Jack Quaid shows where the little closet in his apartment where he's been recording his lines in quarantine, and it's really sad.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what
I
these voice
mean,
actors have been doing, you know?
Yeah.
That's funny. I
Well,
wonder
he's
if
also in The
future
Boys,
of
though. He's my
entertainment-
favorite part of The Boys.
Yeah.
So good in The Boys.
Yeah.
When I know this isn't a The Boys podcast, but we keep coming back to it. It's just so good.
We love
Second or
there's-
third time.
And this is a bit more overlap with the Star Trek universe because what's his face, who plays McCoy in the movies,
Yeah.
is
Carl Urban.
also in.
Carl
Thank
Urban.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
for getting
Dreamy.
the words that wouldn't come out of my brain because it's the end of the day.
Dreamy Carl Urban.
Yes.
He is fantastic in The Boys. Let's
Really?
hear it for The Boys, guys. Let's.
I'm
Sorry.
there with
Well,
you.
the boys are back in town.
Yeah.
Continuing on through the cast, Noelle Wells it plays Ensign Tindy. Eugene Cordero, is it Cordero?
Cordero.
Plays Ensign
Yeah.
Rutherford.
He is a funny guy.
He is a funny guy, and that kind of rounds out the four main ensigns in the show. I love that one of the characters is a Orion, a green girl, because we haven't really seen those for a while. I mean, they pop up in Enterprise, and there's we see them, I guess, in Discovery in one episode. And then Rutherford has like the cybernetic implants, very Geordie, very yeah. It's all those tropes.
It's the diversity that we're all looking for. It's actual diversity on the screen. It's
Yes.
fantastic.
That's amazing.
And what's wonderful is the cast, the actual, the cast is diverse, which is
Yeah.
nice. But I mean, the characters themselves are extremely diverse, which is part of what we love about Star Trek anyway.
Right. I've always felt like there aren't enough aliens. That's not true in every series.
Right.
But, in the original series, it was really just Spock. And in TNG, you have Worf and Deanna, but Deanna really reads human.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's half human anyway, right?
Right.
So I mean, like Data is an alternate life form.
Yeah.
He's,
Sure.
He's not really. He's made to look he's an android. He's
Yeah.
made to look humanoid, but
Right. Human
I
and
mean, there's
pale.
there's Bajorans who serve on the
Oh, yeah,
Enterprise
yeah.
D. There's I mean, keep in mind Guinan isn't human.
Oh, that's true.
She looks human, but she's not from Earth.
That's
She's
true.
from another race. So,
You
and then
don't
there's
really
the
see-
Q, and there's
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of races that look human, that
Uh-huh.
present as human but aren't.
the Bajorans feature more in the later series too, like Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and
In the Ferengi, we get more. I
The
mean, once you get
Ferengi.
to
Boy,
Deep
in Deep
Space
Space
Nine,
Nine,
you
you
get a
get a
lot.
they
of
only had
Ferengi.
one. They had one Ferengi in Lower Decks that I remember, and it was the one
Yeah.
who was like sneaky.
Right.
But he was
friends with-
faking it. He was just a
Right.
friend. It was just like, hey, come over here. And he was putting on his weird character.
Human.
Human.
Well, that diversity really
Fantastic.
rounds out with the bridge crew. Captain Carol Freeman, voiced by Dawn Lewis, who I've loved since the 80s. She's like an amazing actress. Commander Jack Ransom, voiced by Jerry O'Connell, which makes me think of Sliders.
Love me some sliders. Oh my God.
Lieutenant
that shit.
Shax, voiced by Fred Tadascuri.
Tadasciore.
Tadascuri? Is that how it's said?
Chiaroscuro.
I left out of my notes the doctor. Oh, no, there she is. Dr. Ta'ana, voiced by Gillian Vigman. So, I mean, they have main characters who are cats, like in the original, like in the animated series.
Yeah. What is that race called? They're the Jesus. I already forgot.
You asked me, and I don't have it.
It just left my brain. Looking it up.
But they do a lot of cat jokes because of that. And like there's the Shax is Bajoran, and I mean they just do a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other characters, other non-ensign characters that I think will probably feature more in the second season, like Lieutenant Commander Andy Billups, who's the chief engineer, voiced by Paul Scheer, who's a hilarious comedian. I'm like, why cast Paul Scheer unless you're going to do something really good with that character eventually?
You would think so.
Cations? Catians?
The
Cations, right? Caitian.
It's like cat and Asian combined, which sounds exactly like what they would have done
or like
in the 70s.
it would be like it's spelled like Haitian, like you're from Haiti.
Yeah.
So maybe they're
Maybe that's
Haitian.
well,
I don't know. I'm just trying to
Cation sounds right. Sounds familiar.
That sounds right. The cat people.
and it was
The cat
Embres. Yeah. It's crazy. And
I just love when they're on conference room cleanup duty. They have to take the lint roller to the chair that she sits in because her fur gets everywhere. Because that's realistic.
That is
Oh my
realistic.
gosh, can we jump into the episodes? Because there's
let's
just
do it.
so much good.
there's so much to unpack.
Let's do it. Let's start at the beginning. A very good place to start. The pilot episode is called Second Contact, where we learn that the Cerritos is our ship, a California class ship, and their specialty is second contact with planets where we've already had first contact, and they come along to, like make sure that the papers are signed and we know how to pronounce the names of the cities, and then they have their internet set up,
Yeah.
Make sure they got a
Get them some
Wi-Fi
high
hotspot, it's all
Mhm.
good.
Basically, it's onboarding. It's having just started a new job. They're in charge of onboarding.
Welcome to the Federation. Here's your T-shirt.
Here's your pass. Don't lose this. If you lose it, you have to pay $5 to replace it.
Open enrollment is in November.
Open enrollment is now, baby.
Yup.
That's amazing.
Make your selections wisely. Otherwise, the only time to change it is if you have a qualifying life event, if your sun starts to supernova, if your moon's orbit decays. Otherwise, that's it.
I really want to see the HR person on the ship. And she would be like a typical HR person. Like the psychiatrist that pops up later that the doctor goes to see, who looks like a normal psychiatrist almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be like, here are the forms. So this pilot episode is hilarious. Like we watched this and Tim said, this is my favorite show. This is my favorite Star Trek show of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Bar none.
it's so good.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, there's not a scene that goes by that's not funny. But what's also great about it is that it still captures the heart of Star Trek. It still has that sweet emotional core.
Yeah. And there's an
Peter
optimism
being
in it.
There is, which is you wouldn't suspect looking at how you have Mariner as sort of that. I mean, not that she's the main character, but as sort of one of the characters who's really highlighted from the beginning, and she's so pessimistic in a way, but it belies the optimism of the series. It's
Right.
really great.
Well, she has a certain snarkiness that our characters have never had before.
Yeah.
I mean, I say never. I mean, never say never. But you know what I'm saying? Except for some maybe Deep Space Nine characters and a couple Discovery characters.
I think one of the big appeals just out of the gate for me was that the characters are a little more self-aware
Sure.
than like a traditional Star Trek show, which I think lends itself to that like Family Guy-esque or Rick and Morty-esque, like breaking the fourth wall in a way, but not directly. It's just being a little more self-aware that they're in a Star Trek show, or that they're in Star Trek and that's a thing.
Yeah,
it's not ever like overtly stated, but it's very much like on the edge of their consciousness. You know what I mean? Which I just loved. I thought that was brilliant. I was like, yeah.
And the Enterprise and the Enterprise's characters are name dropped so frequently. They often mention Kirk or Picard or
Commander
Riker
Data.
comes up several times. Yeah, Data comes up a bunch because unlike I think in a lot of other Star Trek shows where they try to be like, well, no, the show is about us, not the other show, and it's a big universe, and not everybody would know who Captain Picard is. In this world, they're celebrities because they're like kind of living in the reality of we're in a Star Trek show. Yeah. So you're right. There is that slight bend of.
Well, they even, I think it's in the, it might be in the third episode, but they literally, they spell it out. They're like, man, something weird seems to happen on the Enterprise like every week.
Right.
It's like, what is going on with those guys? Like every week something happens.
It's like they're discovering a new alien life every week.
Yeah. And in the reality of the universe, like, it's just that's the flagship. And so everybody knows about them and they're sort of famous.
They've saved the Earth.
But I've always wondered, and I just love the concept of the show is like, it's these like these lower deck, like ensigns on a pretty large starship, not like a Galaxy class or anything, but but a decent sized starship. And they're contemporaries of the stories we all know so well from TNG. Like it's a contemporary ship serving at the same time as the Enterprise is. Somewhere in season, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe. It's sort of.
Well,
I think it's got to be after because Riker has command of his own ship.
Yeah, it takes place
a little after.
After Star Trek Nemesis is what they've said. So the Enterprise, the Sovereign class Enterprise, is still out there. Is the idea?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So maybe we'll see them in the next season.
One of the things I enjoy the most is that the characters speak the way we do. Like you never once heard anyone in the Next Generation or the original series or any of the others talk about living on a spaceship.
Right.
But that's the reality of the situation, and that's how they talk. Like, we live on a spaceship. No one's dying from a spear wound.
Right.
I weeping.
Brilliant line.
Or when they accidentally blow up the other ship and they're like, we are so getting fired for this. Things like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So let's keep going through the season. Episode 2 is Envoys. And to jar your memory, this is the one where Boimler and Marion, I typed Marion, or maybe it auto-corrected to Marion. Mariner escort a Klingon ambassador to Tulgana 4. And God, my typing, I did this so quickly. And
Insignificant planet.
insignificant planet. Well, it's cool because it's like a sample planet. Like it has like a Ryza section and a Klingon section, and
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah.
Uh,
rife with references.
Meanwhile, on the ship, Ensign Rutherford tries out different departments. So we see him kind of rotate through. And that was a cool way for us to meet the other characters that we might not always interact with, like the chief engineer. And this is the one with that cool Ferengi joke at the end where Mariner's friends pretends to be like old school season 1 Ferengi.
Yeah.
Like clasping
Which
his
is pretty
hands.
Good.
He was like an actor, right? Like he was like we were in an improv troupe together or something. Like there's some kind of strange
They have a
reference
background.
to like he has a performing arts background or something.
My favorite joke in this episode actually was when there's this big guy in the market that's gonna fight them, and she grabs his wallet and throws it into the bushes, and he like runs over there and is like, "My dad's gonna kill me."
You guys,
It's so realistic.
That's
I love it.
fantastic.
They also when Boimler is really at his low point at the end of the episode, he says like I'm not going to be a hero. I'm going to die, and all that will be left behind is a recording of my last log, and that will be discovered, and they'll have to piece together what happened to me based on it. And I'm like, that is the description of more than one episode where they come across dead people and they have to read, like, see their last log.
Figure
it's like
it
so
out.
perfect.
yeah,
He's drawing from what he knows.
Right. Episode 3, Temporal Edict.
Oh my
Which when I
God,
first-
buffer time. Buffer time.
When I first saw that title, I was like, oh, it's going to be a time travel episode. But no, much more realistic. It's about buffer time.
It's about buffer time. Listen, anyone who is in management knows that, like, gotta
Like-
keep an eye out.
Like,
People
oh,
like to
I
pad
can-
that buffer time.
I can get that to you by the end of day. And meanwhile, it takes 5 minutes.
I'm like, how about in the next hour, friendo? Oh my
Right.
God, buffer time. Stopping for margaritas. I love it. I love it. I support it.
And when they take it away, like, societal breakdown. Like,
Yeah.
you can't not have the buffer time. And it's
Yeah.
true. We're human beings.
Boimler's
Yeah.
unaffected. He somehow like is always prime time. He's ready to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, that he's
It's
like,
just like,
a little
I
perfect.
got all my
He's like-
tasks done.
He's volunteering for
Type A.
extra
A little
tasks.
too type A. You know, he's like
Right.
A positive,
A plus.
A plus.
A plus.
He's a donor. This is also the episode where they encounter the culture that's obsessed with crystals. Like, their whole culture is about crystals, which is a very Star Trek thing. Like, they visit a planet and there's no diversity on the planet. Everyone on the planet is obsessed with the one thing, you know.
Mhm.
I thought that was really funny. And there's the fight where he's using all the Kirk moves where he's punching the guy with his clasped hands.
Mm-hmm. The two-handed punches.
Is that the one where he rips off his shirt?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And we find out that Mariner sort of has a thing for him, right? That's this episode.
Yeah.
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 'Cause he's like, no, I'm going to fight for the ship. No, I'm going to fight for us.
Yeah.
They start-
They have
oh,
a
man,
little
that's a
will
good
they,
one.
won't they thing.
Who doesn't have a thing for
Jerry O'Connell?
For Jerry O'Connell, right?
I mean,
Jack
not a single
Ransom.
person on this Zoom.
Nope.
None of us
Certainly
can
not.
say we don't have a thing for Jerry O'Connell.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking the truth.
Speak it from your from your mouth to
No. To
podcast
Jerry
listeners'
O'Connell's ears.
episode 4, Moist Vessel. Speaking of
Oh my God,
that
what a
was
name.
bad transition. Right.
Speaking of moist vessels.
No.
Oh,
No, it is
oh.
not that kind of a show, Mike
It's
Jones.
not. No, pump the brakes.
Oh my
Um,
God. But the name, what a name.
My
What a
headphones
title.
sting my head now. What's going on?
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
When so in this one they're towing that sort of generational ship of corpses, and it takes over and starts terraforming the ships. I think that's where the name comes from, but it is really weird. Also, Mariner gets promoted, and what's confusing to me is she gets promoted, but then she also changes the color of her uniform. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Like, she's suddenly wearing gold because she got promoted. I guess she got promoted and moved into another department.
I guess because it seems like as ensigns, although they have their stations, they rotate duties. So I wonder if maybe, I don't know. It actually struck me as weird in that moment too, where it was like, why is she going from red to gold? But whatevs.
I mean,
they were trying to break her.
If there's nothing else we can do, it's nitpick as Star Trek fans.
Yeah, we're good at that.
The B plot in this episode is that 10D accidentally messes up a crewman's attempt to ascend onto a higher plane, which is, as I was watching this, Tim did not really get it. He was like, what's he trying to do? And I was like, okay, this is a Star Trek trope. I mean, Decker at the end of Star Trek, the motion picture, ascends, Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher ascends to be a traveler. Kess on Voyager, when her character gets written out, like ascends to be a higher being. Like, it happens over and over and over. Usually when actors leave shows.
It's a great way to write someone off because you can always bring them back.
You can always bring them back.
They can just reassemble their atoms.
Right.
You can bring them back as a Romulan bad guy. I don't know.
Exactly.
The world is your oyster.
But his ascension is so upsetting. It's not
pleasant.
God.
Like,
oh, God, every part of this hurts.
I see a koala. What does he know?
I feel like that was a very...
it went on so long.
It did.
It's brilliant. That's why it's a brilliant part of the show. Like, they just...
Excellent.
That's a very Family Guy thing to do, like, right? Like,
see, I was saying,
really just play the joke way too long.
Yeah. Because if you play the joke too long, it eventually comes back to being.
It comes back,
again.
yeah.
Full
you
circle.
Get tired, and then you start laughing again. It felt like a Rick and Morty moment to me.
It was very,
yeah. Episode 5, Cupid's Errant Arrow. This is where we find out that Boimler has a girlfriend. And
it's a girlfriend who lives in Canada.
Yes.
It's the Vancouver.
She's stationed on the Vancouver.
I laughed so hard. It was an excellent episode.
This is where the T-88s come in.
This is where the T-88s come in, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim's favorite line in this episode, when he says, "We get to meet my girlfriend," and Mariner says something like, "Let me guess, for some reason we'll have to be on the holodeck when we meet her." You know.
Yeah.
She only exists in the holodeck.
Of course, we find out that he has a parasite on him. Again, just like in that episode in TNG that just left my head, where they're the parasites are in their heads with their little tails sticking out the back, and they have to blow up the guy's head. Conspiracy is the name of the episode.
Yep, you got it.
I got there. Of course, this one is not wanting to take over anything. He's just looking for a lover. Lover. We're halfway through the season. I feel like at this point they did like a little season break. I feel like there was a couple weeks.
There was
off
a couple weeks off in between. Who knows? It was a wild time. We were all on lockdown.
I know.
I think that it was June, or I don't know, April. Maybe it was
March
2019. I don't know.
March 87.
Yes.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
We come back.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Has no dick.
So, thanks to Dickless over here.
I just rewatched the Ghostbusters, and it's so funny.
So good. Did you watch? Have you seen the series? Little side note: if you have Netflix, get on Netflix. Well, obviously you do because you're watching TNG with us, so you have Netflix, friends. Watch the movies that made us, and watch the Ghostbusters episode because it's incredible.
It is.
So
it's
good.
really. I mean, so much
Mhm.
going on behind the scenes with that one.
Yeah. And Dan Aykroyd's family history in Ghost and
Oh my God.
paranormal
Investigations.
is incredible. If you haven't read his family's book, read his family's book.
Oh wow! I really
Yeah.
want to read it now.
They were real life ghost hunters. Like they were
Yeah.
like
That's
paranormal
amazing.
mediums and all this crazy shit. Like it's
They based part of like the movie, the sciencey parts of the movie on that.
Mhm.
Like it inspired it.
Wow. Wow.
And
Well, yeah,
the
they get a lot of
ancient
stuff.
Sumerian bullshit is like some of it's real. Like Gozer is a real thing. Anyway, it's hilarious.
God, that's amazing. I thought I'd watched all of the movies that made us, but maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Back to Lower Decks.
episode 6.
Terminal provocations.
Yes. They encounter some hostile scavengers, and we meet the star of the show, Badgie.
Badgie. Hey there. Voiced
Can I
by
teach you a lesson? Jack McBrayer.
Jack
I think?
Mc or Kenneth from 30 Rock.
Kenneth, voiced by Kenneth from 30 Rock. Yeah.
So good.
And so twisted.
So good. It's amazing.
Father. I can't. It's
He's like his
excellent.
little like eye twitch that he gets halfway through. He's like,
Yeah.
so
Here's a
good.
fun tip. I'm going to kill you.
I could see Tim very much appreciating Badgie's humor.
You have no idea. Like, he already has asked for Badgie swag.
We need Badgie swag. Come on.
Let's make it
CBS,
happen.
Get it happen. Make it happen. Very good. Very good.
And like most things in the season, it's a setup for him to come back, as we'll find out in episode 10. Episode 7, Much Ado About Boimler. This is kind of a trope from TNG. They have a substitute captain while a few of the bridge officers are on a secret mission, which happens in TNG twice, actually.
Yeah.
And
a couple times.
Tindy makes a dog that's a freak.
That she calls the dog.
She
This
calls
is the dog.
It can talk and fly and shapeshift.
Walk upside down, open up its neck, and have things,
Yeah.
bats fly out.
All of it because she doesn't really understand Earth dogs. She
She's
just
never
doesn't.
seen a dog.
And when an actual dog licks her, she's like, "Oh my God, that's gross. Why would it do that?"
Tindy's
Why?
a great character.
She
What a
would
great-
hate.
What a great character.
She would hate my dog.
Mine too.
A Boimler gets sort of stuck in mid-transport, and he's glowing in this episode.
He's out of phase.
He's out of phase.
And the first thing that pisses everyone off is the noise.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just that transporter noise just times 10, and it just
Yeah.
follows him around.
Well, I
Well,
like
and-
at the end when everyone is stuck out of phase and there's the noise. They're like, "Don't worry, it's just cosmetic." I'm like, it's just cosmetic.
They're so happy. Well, and we find out what happens to
fix
all
it.
the freaks and victims of accidents who don't
They
get
go to
fixed by the end of the episode.
farm.
They go to the farm.
Of course.
We see some people in, Captain Pike wheelchairs
Oh my God.
on the farm.
A lot of good references to some very strange happenings in
Mhm.
in TNG and
Mhm. Voyager.
and some originals. Yeah, some Voyager
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
and some original series
Original
too.
series,
An-
yeah.
animated series. The character that's in charge of that ship that takes them to the farm is the same species as Eric's, the three-legged, three-armed character
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
animated series.
From the anime. Yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Mm.
I know, it's just like
They have one of the one of them's giant, right? Like one of them,
in
like
the animated
the-
series.
yeah, from the animated series where
There's
Spock
a-
is huge. There
Yeah,
was a huge.
there's
person
one
at the
episode where,
farm.
yeah. Oh, is there a huge person at the farm?
Maybe I'm thinking of it. There's a reference to that, but I don't know if it was that episode. Now that
I
I'm
don't
thinking about it.
remember.
They probably reference it.
I watched so many of these episodes back to back to back.
Yeah.
It
Well,
all
it's
Oh,
like,
blurs.
it's easy to just binge them.
Yeah.
They're
It
pretty
is.
good.
and they're short.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like someone sat down and they're like, "What would Mike Jones like Let's make that happen.
Mhm.
I've felt that about many things that have been made in the past several years, and I think
That's
I'm
awesome.
just the target demographic. I think like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guardians of the
Well, because
Galaxy, I feel like was just made for me. They just made a movie. They're like, hey, what would it have been like in a Marvel movie? Let's make that.
you've just
Like,
hit
oh.
the point in your life where you now have disposable income. So you are a bracket that they are interested in appealing to.
Yeah, and
Right.
I am. It's based all around 80s nostalgia.
Yep. 80s and
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
80s and 90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just easy to
Well-
pitch to. They're just
Yeah.
like, we
Oh,
know what
oh.
you want. We've got you pegged.
All of
A bit
us.
more. Yeah.
Every single one of us.
Mhm.
Well, that's why during the 80s, suddenly everything was 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, even Back
Yeah.
to the
Yeah,
Future.
poodle skirts
Poodle
and-
skirts, right.
Grease was
Yeah.
70s, but still. There was sort of
Grease
a
is the
huge
word.
in the
late
80s.
70s, early 80s, like 1950s,
Mhm.
60s resurgence.
There was
Every
a,
single cool girl for Halloween had a poodle skirt that they dressed
Yeah.
up in. Did I ever have a poodle skirt? No, because
Yeah.
my mom didn't love me.
We did a sock hop when I was in elementary school, and every
Not
class,
true. I love you, Mom.
every class did a like a number, like a dance number, and I was in Johnny Be Good. In my
Nice.
entire third grade class, danced to Johnny Be Good out on the basketball, like the asphalt. This is in Florida,
Nice.
so it was asphalt year round. It
what are
wasn't
the
covered.
third graders dancing to now? Instead of a sock hop, would it be a rave? Like, I don't know. What's
It'd be
the
like an
current-
80s night, 80s
I
prom.
think
80s
they just
prom.
call it a dance.
I don't know. It was like a
don't-
50s themed day.
Maybe.
It was like everyone
Yeah.
was a greaser. I had a pack of
definitely-
candy cigarettes rolled up in my sleeve. It was super
Nice.
cool.
That is
Oh, no.
flip your hair back.
So-
Do
oh
the
yeah.
comb thing.
I'd do the
Comb.
had a leather jacket,
Of
Oh, my
course.
God.
Crazy.
In Florida?
Converse. I didn't wear it long. I took it
No.
off very quickly. But
Yeah.
anyway, episode 7,
No, we did 7.
9.
The
Yeah.
farm.
8.
Episode 8. What comes after 7, Ben?
I was told I would not need Common Core education math to do this.
Why
episode.
was 7 afraid of 8?
I was 6.
I was
if I
6
was
afraid of
7.
7. Whatever.
7, 8,
9.
Yeah,
7,
that's
8,
it.
9.
That's it. Veritas.
Veritas.
The gang has to testify in a
This
trial.
was so good. It's such a trope. I love that they did this.
Yeah.
Right. They spit us out in the middle or at the end of the action, and then it's all flashbacks. And my
Mhm.
favorite timeline is Rutherford's because he keeps blacking out because he keeps rebooting.
He's
Apparently
really-
he's a badass. He's got some kind of weird like security protocol that makes him a freaking ninja. Like he's
Yep.
just like they're like this guy's crazy. I thought we just like, but I guess he's like
Somehow
I got
he ends
this.
up at a
Thought he'd
Gorn
open the
wedding.
door.
But he just keeps waking up at the wedding.
Right.
That's a great episode. Such a good episode. And
And
we get to
there's a
see their
Q
chief of
cameo.
security, who's my favorite
sorry.
character.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
just saying he's my favorite character, hands down. The Bajoran chief of security. Trax,
Right.
is his name? Something
Yes.
Yeah.
Strax.
Yeah.
like that.
He just wants to blow things up and fight people.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just like the unhinged, veteran dude. He's like,
Right. Well, his backstory, I think,
Grizzled.
is that he was a freedom fighter on Bajor.
yeah.
Because
they
he has like
all
gray
were
hair.
freedom fighters.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Mhm.
They're either religious fanatics or freedom fighters or both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the episode where John Delancey makes an appearance as Q.
I like
Yes.
when he beams the senior staff and he makes them members of a chessboard, but they're fighting cards, and then there's a soccer ball. There's a game. We have to solve this puzzle.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's like being thrown into Robin Hood or, on a planet with Napoleonic monster creatures. Like, yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah.
So and
Napoleon Wolfman. I don't know.
Right.
Over there.
then he shows up at the end, and I just love the Mariner's like, "Not today, Q." And he's like,
"No,
"Oh, come on."
we don't have time for any of your bullshit."
I don't
Yeah.
have time for any. Can we have a minute to acknowledge how funny it is that they curse
Oh,
but
yes.
bleep it out. It's so much funnier than if they didn't bleep it out. I enjoy
Yes.
listening to them swear with the beeps so much more.
The beeps really do make it funnier, because if they just cussed, it would be like, oh,
It's like
Yeah.
the Goldbergs, how there's always one F-bomb, but they bleep it.
yes.
It's like
Yes.
but it makes
Beverly
it that
Goldberg.
much funnier. Like if she
Yeah.
just dropped F-bombs and they had,
It wouldn't. That's
it
not a
wouldn't
joke.
land the same way. Like it's funnier
Yeah.
that it's like, again, it's sort of like a nod to the fourth wall. Like it sort of breaks
Yeah. Yeah.
the realism, and it's very
Right.
self-aware thing to do.
Well, speaking of a nod
The
to the
show's
fourth
so
wall,
meta. I love it.
in
Love the
episode
meta.
9, Crisis Point is basically the movie version.
Oh my God, with
episode.
the credits. With
Yes.
the credits.
Holodeck
And the-
movie version of our
The
story.
lens flare and the
So good.
all the shots of the ship, and they're in the little shuttle, so going around the ship and looking at it
Yeah, just like a move, like a pilot reveal of the ship or from a
Yes.
movie, and just
Yeah.
so
They're like, oh, it looks the same, but slightly shinier.
Oh my
See it from all angles.
It's so funny.
And again,
Just
just like milking that joke as long as they can.
Yeah.
It goes on way too long.
Way too long. That's a
But it comes
Family
back
Guy.
around
Yeah.
and it's hilarious.
Yes.
Mhm.
I recently rewatched Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and the scene where Scotty takes Kirk over to the ship in the shuttle is like 10 minutes long of just them flying around the ship looking at it. It is insanely too long.
It is
Yeah.
very long.
No, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, truly, it's one of those things where the scene starts, you get up and you're like, okay, maybe I'll go make popcorn. You make popcorn, come back, and they're still like looking at the goddamn ship.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It was the first time we'd seen something, from Star Trek that detailed and everything. But looking back on it now, it's like, ooh, and easy to make fun of. That's an easy target
Yeah.
for
They got to know we have a special effects budget for this movie. So let's just
Yeah, they're definitely like,
inundate them in the opening credits.
let's milk it.
Blow it all in the first 5. See what happens. Nothing else.
And then that brings us to the
The
season finale, which I think is my favorite episode.
It's incredible.
It's
Except
excellent.
My
Suddenly,
suddenly the chief of security, who is my favorite
Yeah.
character, Shrax, is like they kill him off. And I think they
Yeah.
did it on purpose because they sort of like spent the last 2 episodes making me like him. And then they just
Yes.
tore it out from under me. And I was like, you bastard.
yeah. Well, I could tell that it was going to be different, and because in the teaser, the other ship, there's like this nicer ship that is attacked and it gets destroyed. So everybody dies in that ship. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I was shocked.
It's a
I was
totally
like, this
different
is
tone. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They go
It's a big
from
deal.
like the captain of that ship being mad that the plastic is peeled up from her arm,
Mhm.
console buttons, and she wants everyone on the bridge to wear socks and not shoes, like everybody's
Yeah.
mom when you get new carpet.
Mhm.
To like, boom, everyone's dead. It really like takes you like emotionally from one place to another.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
It's
it
a little
totally,
bit of a gut punch.
yeah.
Yeah.
It totally just like changes the tone super fast and super effective. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, this show has a darker, like serious side and
Right.
tone
Yep.
that we're going to explore in this episode, which is like, it got real. Shit got real. And they
It's
even
kind of
changed
like-
like not the style. Well, it's the style sort of like, but animation wise, but the way that they edited the scenes together and the cuts and stuff,
Hmm.
it wasn't a comedy anymore. It was like, oh, this is an action
Oh yeah.
style
Yeah.
where it's more like action oriented and
Yeah.
like thriller type.
I didn't
Yeah.
think about that, but you're right. It's edited
Yeah.
together differently.
There's a tone shift. I think it might even be a color shift too. Like the color palette gets a lot darker and a lot
Oh.
the shadows are harsher and like
Mhm.
me being
Yeah,
an
as soon as the
animation
ship is-
nerd, I was totally aware of that. And it was like, oh, there's like a lighting shift. There's like a big tone shift here.
Right.
Mhm.
And which I think is brilliant. And it was very appropriate for a season finale.
Well,
To
and
show
you-
they could do something different. I was like, oh, this is still good and compelling storytelling. It's funny. It's got moments, but it's like the stakes are a lot higher now. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit.
And I think that there's precedent for a lot of that in the live action shows. Even
Yeah.
like on Voyager, when they call for red alert, the lights change so dramatically. And I think the idea is that they dim all the lights except for the console so that you can see the consoles easier without a glare or whatever. But realistically, it's booked for dramatic lighting. So this episode, they're at red alert almost the whole time, and there's damage and there's smoke and there's fire. So the dramatic lighting and haze, animated haze, is all in there. We also have a new character, Peanut Hamper.
Peanut Hamper.
The exocomp.
A great name.
Who turns out to be a bitch.
Yeah.
Villain.
Like,
no.
What? Yeah. She's a straight up see you next Tuesday. She's
right?
Just, oh, you want me to... Ooh, that sounds hard. You want me to save everyone's life with something that's totally fine for me to do and I'll be fine because I'm a robot? Nah, that sounds hard. I'm just going to transport myself away because I have that technology.
It's the opposite of Data. It is like a computer that is so aware it's a computer that it's like anti-human, anti-life.
Uses that as an advantage.
Anti-organic life. Yeah, it's just like, no, peace out. I'm done. Like
his name... Who's the writer who came up with Peanut Hamper? Because I think that person needs to get an Emmy. I just punched my microphone.
That's how emphatic you were
Peanut
about
Hamper.
it. Yeah.
Peanut
Give
Hamper.
that writer an Emmy. I hurt my hand.
Ouch, though.
You see what I do for my love of this
Suffer for
show.
art. Suffer for art.
Ow.
No, I absolutely agree.
Peanut Hamper.
It was
Yep.
a great ending, and Peanut Hamper, I'm pretty sure they just came like threw some words into a bowl and everyone got to like,
that's possible.
and then they just drew two and they were like, okay, it's Peanut and
two
Hamper.
nouns.
Peanut Hamper. All right.
Peanut Hamper.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened in the writing room.
Of course, Peanut Hamper is an exocomp, which is in one episode of The Next Generation.
Yep.
Because this little machine becomes sentient.
Mm-hmm.
Who else comes back in this episode? The Packleds.
Yes.
Or the
Go fast.
we
right?
like
Those
things
guys
that make us go. Our ship doesn't go. You know those.
You were the
people?
Enterprise. All the ships are the Enterprise, no matter what they
Right.
are.
Yep.
The Federation. They're just all the Enterprise.
There's another Enterprise.
Well, I like the idea that they're so stupid
Packleds was
and
a
they've
good choice.
amassed all this weaponry that they're really dangerous. It
Yeah.
almost made my mind go to a political place.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
Wow.
I could see that without naming names, but yeah.
Yeah.
Without saying anything, you know. Of course, the big person who comes back in this episode is Captain Riker
Mm-hmm.
and Commander Troy in the USS Titan. And the Titan is the design of the ship from the novels.
Mhm.
Designed by Sean Tordo, I think is his name.
Interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's finally
I
canon.
didn't put
And
that
the people
together,
who,
but yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
the
novel
people who like
version.
really read those novels, those Titan novels, this has been the design of the ship in their heads and on the album covers, book covers.
I
for
mean, there might
years.
be albums.
There might be.
You can get it on Audible, I'm sure.
Riker sings vocal jazz.
Oh my God.
Be amazing.
How he calls to go to warp in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Get me my trombone.
Gotta respect it. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Rock
just so
out
great.
on the bone.
It's a great cameo and a great like Deus Ex at the end. Like just
Yes.
Yeah.
it was but earned. It was an earned Deus Ex Machina. You know, it was like, oh yeah.
100%. Well, and I
There it
love
is.
that he sees Mariner and he's instantly like, okay, you owe me a drink now, because of course they go way back.
Of course
Right.
I do.
Because
Yeah, why
Mariner
not?
knows everyone.
Right. I feel like this is the Riker that we wanted in Picard. We wanted Riker to come through in the end, which he did in Picard. So I guess every series ends, season 1 ends with Riker saving the day. But
As it should.
And nothing
But
wrong with that. I don't what's the
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah.
But Riker on the bridge of the Titan with Troy, like in his element, like time wise, it makes sense that it's happening in this series.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
it's the Riker that we wanted to see. That I don't. I mean, I loved seeing Riker in the final episode of Picard, but it was like so
It's
brief.
30 years. Yeah, it's like 30 years after this.
Yeah. I mean, they filmed one scene with, Jonathan Frakes while he was
In a
directing
ship,
on set,
yeah.
in a captain's chair in a green screen kind of thing.
Mhm.
We get more Riker here for sure.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh my god,
So good. What a great sequence at the end, though. It's just like the action, and it was just like, again, it was like, hey, we haven't done yet? Something that Ben and Mike would like. All the Star Trek fans. Let's not exclude anybody, but it's just like, I feel like they know me.
And Rutherford gets injured. His implants get ripped out.
He gets ripped out by Shax to
he loses his
protect
memory.
him.
He's got to protect him.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And
he saves him.
Ugh. A
Hang on, teddy bear!
It's sad, but it's not really that sad because, I mean, the Shax thing is sad, but with Rutherford, what's her face? The Orion gal.
Tendi.
Thank you. She's such a freaking optimist. She's like,
Right.
yay, we get to do it all over. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I know. And so is he. He's like, okay.
Yeah. I loved Shax, like, in the shuttle, blowing through the hull, going, this is the best day of my life.
That's why I sort of knew it was coming, because I was like, wow, they're just really they're really like getting into this guy and just his like reckless, but completely fun loving, like, he revels in this. He's like, he was in his element. And you just like him at that point. And I was like, oh, he's not going to make it.
No.
Somebody has to die.
It was great. What a ride.
A blaze of glory.
What a season. I can't wait for season 2.
It's so good.
I can't either.
And they have no excuses, because you can make this crap in COVID.
You can do animations in the COVIDs. Jack Quaid is sitting in his closet recording right now. He's sitting in his closet.
Right. He's waiting for the script. Give him the script.
He's ready to go.
I don't even need the animation. I will listen to it as a radio play.
It could be a radio show.
Yep.
They might have already started
time radio.
Radio. They might have already started recording the second season. I don't know. I bet they have.
Good. Because if they hadn't, I would send a strongly worded letter.
Be hell to pay.
I would like to speak with your manager.
Okay, Karen.
Boss Karen.
Well, this has been a fun 50th episode, very different than our normal.
Yeah.
I thought about us really doing more of a weekly update on Lower Decks, but like I said, it's so hard to talk about comedy without just repeating the jokes. But
that was funny.
Screw it. It's fun to just sit here and repeat the jokes.
It is
one episode.
It might be more helpful to do it in batches. I think what we did here makes sense.
Badgie batches.
Badges.
Badgies.
Bring back Badgie.
Oh, he's coming.
Right. He comes back to save the day, kind of.
They sort of use the evil of Badgie against the Packlets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or whatever. I love it.
Oh, good. We've totally opened ourselves up to Badgie coming back in a huge way, because Rutherford doesn't remember. So if he goes back into the holodeck, he's going to make the same mistake again.
Just make him, yeah.
We've got I guarantee another Badgie episode is coming up next season.
Oh, he's
guarantee it.
He's going to come back when you least expect it. He
I
haunts
love
my
it.
dreams.
I love it. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for season 1 of Lower Decks. And
happy
our
50th episode, everybody.
Happy
Yay.
50th episode.
Happy
I didn't
50th.
even get you guys anything. Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. It's
You
so
don't like a day
embarrassing.
over 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Shut up, Mike Jones. Oh my God.
Amazing. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out our Patreon and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Hailing Freak Open, or on our webpage at hailingfrequenciesopen.com. And with that, I'll say Hailing Frequencies closed.
No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing frequencies closed, sir.